10 months ago, Elden Ring came out and lots of people around the world, including me, were super excited to play an open world game made by FromSoft. It was like the most awaited game of early 2022, and a few weeks ago I finally managed to beat Elden Ring after 10 freaking months. Was it worth it for spending so much time on a game and finally beating it? How did it feel to beat a game after 10 months? I felt pretty empty, to be honest. I don't know what I was expecting. I might have become an Elden Lord, but I was still a maidenless scum begging for some pussy. You might be thinking, why the heck it took me so long to beat a open world game that I was so excited for? Like, would I not spend every day playing a game that's made by FromSoft if that's like the game I was awaiting the most? Well, I got too exhausted of exploring Elden Ring. Now listen, I really love exploring in video games when a game itself makes exploration fun, worth your time, and makes it feel rewarding for the players and not like a chore most of the time. Look at Hollow Knight, for example. The game is huge. The map is the size of my The map is super huge in this game. You can easily get lost. You can be in Dirtmount and you're like, oh, I wonder where this route takes me. And then you keep going down, and you go up, and then you go left, and bada bing, bada boom, you end up in Ohio. But what makes exploration fun in Hollow Knight is how no matter where you end up going, it doesn't feel like a waste of the time. Every area feels unique, has their own flair, unique music, and there is a 90% chance that you might encounter something worthy of your time. Now, in Elden Ring, they for sure reward you for exploring as well, and I enjoyed exploring for the vast part of Elden Ring, up until I got past Limgrave. After that, exploring starts to feel repetitive, like a chore, and most of the reward you start to get feels kinda useless, as you won't be using most of those weapons or spells for the builds that you are going for. Dungeons also end up looking the same, with only a few different touches here and there, bosses that you have to fight 3 or 4 times to the point they respawn as normal enemies later on, because clearly killing them 4 times weren't enough for them to give up. There were only but a few areas that I really loved exploring, which was most of the underworld area, just for the fact it looked super dope, and the legacy dungeons. Well, the legacy dungeons were like the best part of the game. They were like your classic Dark Souls area that you had shortcuts for you to unlock. They were very well designed, with amazing boss fights awaiting you at the end of every dungeon. I had so much fun exploring Stormvale Castle, Langdale, Florida.
Hey, what's up? It's your man Florida.
It almost was as if the open world was just filler and not important. I was like, you're done with this area, now go explore all the copy-paste areas we made for you, because that's fun. Now, hold on to your horses before you start writing any comments about how Elden Ring is the best game ever in existence, and that I am just a mad dog who can't appreciate art. This game ain't all bad, okay? I still stand by what I said. You cannot deny that there is a lot of repetition and copy-paste elements in this game, so stop denying the freaking truth, okay? We all know that those things are very popular in open world games, and we can't just put the blame on Elden Ring alone. But there is one thing that the open world of Elden Ring did well, is the freedom it gives you to exploration. And I don't just mean because it's open world and there is like no invisible walls blocking your path. One of the main cool factors of the open world aspect of Elden Ring is that you are not locked behind bosses to continue your progression. And in Elden Ring, for example, you have a total of 7 shard bearers, which are like the main bosses of the game. And if you want to reach the final destination that holds down the final boss, you need to defeat shard bearers to enter the place. But you only need to defeat 2 out of the 7. So you can easily skip most of the bosses if you so desire. But if you're going to do that and skip over all the cool bosses, what the fuck is wrong with you? And that's not all, by the way. You can also easily skip over the 2 shard bearers necessary to enter, and what you can do is just do a fiance quest, get into a teleporter, and bam, you're in Langdale. Who would have thought that hugging a woman would be so rewarding? And that is also one of the few examples. If you're stuck at I forgot his name, which is like the very first boss, and it's considered the first boss that most people get stuck on. Well, guess what? You can just take a hidden path right next to Stormvale that takes you behind Stormvale Castle, and you'll find yourself in the second area of the game, which holds a second legacy dungeon as well, Hogwarts, with barefoot and pointy head boss, aka Miyazaki's favorite boss design, which is also the second shard bearer you're likely to encounter if you're playing a game like a normal human being and not skipping over everything on your first playthrough. Another example, Mog, the boss that says, "It's mugging time," when you try to steal an egg from him, can also be discovered in two ways, as far as I know. By either progressing normally until you find a waygate in the western area of consecrated Snowdin, but it's pretty much close to the endgame content, so you don't want to go to the other areas when you're almost finishing the game. So you can just do a quest for a good old sadistic friend, Faray, who has the guts to call you a maidenless scrub right at the beginning of the game.
Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. Without an invitation to the round table hold,
until he gives you a medal which lets you teleport to Mog location. Anyways, you get the idea now. Like other Souls games, you had your main bosses, and when you get to a boss, you're stuck there until you get good scrub, as your average Souls gamer would say, and you beat the shit out of it. But in Elden Ring, you're almost totally free to choose what boss to tackle first, so you're not stuck with the get good scrub mentality. And it can really make the game easier for you. And talking about making the game easier, you have summons, free summons everywhere. You have checkpoints, which is a blessing out of Miyazaki's butthole. How annoying that was for there to not be checkpoints in other Souls games, and the only checkpoints were bonfires. So if you would die, you would have to go over the whole path again and spend another 10 minutes running and probably dying in the way as well. But giving too much freedom also comes with a cost, where you will sometimes be too overleveled for an area. I found out the hard way when I found out way later on, when I was already done with Godric and Renala, that the South of Limgrave is a totally optional area. So I went there. Turns out I was super overleveled. I would kill most enemies in 1 or 2 hits, and the furry boss there was also a piece of cake. Let's talk about bosses. Elden Ring has one of the best boss fights in the entire game, if you don't count all those comfy paces, that is. Radahn being the first boss where you could summon a whole party of NPCs, even patches. That shit was amazing. Malekith being the first boss to use the environment, jumping onto pillars. God, that was fucking amazing. Then you have Godric, Godfrey, God Soldier of Freak. God, there are so many bosses that start with the word God in this game. In the end, Elden Ring is still a fun game. I'm not telling you Elden Ring is a shit game and you should never play it. But was it my favorite game of all the Souls games I played so far? Not really. But I for sure give it 3rd place of all the FromSoft games that I played.